Top five.
Yeah, girl. You ready to do this? You ready to count this thing down? We're doing the top 5, her. Yeah, let's set it off with 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Let's get spooky.
Tom, you're scaring me. It's too spooky.
I want to try a vampire voice, but I can never nail it. I don't commit.
I want to hear your lists.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, hey man, come on, you can do it.
You think I can be a vampire?
Absolutely.
You think I'd be a vampire?
Man.
You can be anything you can
Just think
dream
it-
of.
Everyone keeps calling me a werewolf. I don't want to be a
Think about
werewolf.
the count. Okay, well, technically being a werewolf is way better, but whatever.
You think
Yeah.
so?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
You think so?
Yeah, I
can
can,
go in
still
the sun.
I can still walk around the sun.
But I feel like you can't control yourself when you're a werewolf,
Yeah,
right?
but that's like once a month.
Yeah, and if
For
you
like
if you
3
get a good
days.
cage or something,
Yeah.
then you're
Also-
fine.
Violently
Who
drunk
says I
once
need
a
to
month,
co-
it's
yeah.
basically the same thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
who says I
pretty
need
much.
to control myself? Why don't I indulge?
But you don't want to like kill any innocent
Well, I
bystanders.
go
Yeah.
camping.
Do
I go
you?
camping every month.
Oh, I see.
If
Yeah.
Seth Green can do it, we can do it.
Right?
Is this a Buffy reference?
Angus, yeah,
Yes,
you
it
will.
is.
Oh my
know.
god, I love Seth Green and werewolves.
Do you?
Yeah, seriously, I love Seth Green, and I think
I
werewolves
met
are
him
cool.
once. Fun fact.
Yeah,
Seth Green, he's the littlest man ever. He's like
very tiny.
5 feet.
He's
yeah.
he's a small man.
Yeah, I was on the same flight to Mexico with him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I stood in line behind him in customs, and I was like, "That's Seth Green. That's awesome."
Were you like,
Wow.
you're a werewolf? I'll keep your secret.
Okay.
All right, please leave me alone.
Hello, everybody. I'm not going to do it.
No, don't fucking bail. You got this.
Commit.
Welcome back to the pod cavern.
Bats fly out of the podcast.
Lightning. And welcome back to Rank Top 5 list of stuff that don't matter. It's our Halloween themed month, and this is the second installment of our Halloween extravaganza trick or treat special. My name is Tuong, and I'm your host, and I have the spookiest guests around me today. On the interwaves, we have a special guest all the way in spooky BC.
BC is extra
Are
spooky.
you just going to
yes.
use
Spooky's
as an adjective
everything.
for everything today?
Yes, yeah, I am very creative in my adjectives. Taylor Fleming, hello.
Hey, Betty. How's it going?
It's going well.
I mean, a spooky hello to you.
You got it. You know how to be on a podcast.
I am terrifying.
Taylor, I know you can't see the guest technically in front of you, but who is she?
Oh, you mean Catherine Bellacci?
Yeah, hi.
Hi,
Yeah.
Catherine. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I heard you like soda.
I do like soda.
Do you
I like a lot of soda pop.
You like
Yes, I do.
spooky soda?
Like extra spooky.
Great.
Okay.
Good stuff. What's this? What is this?
Trying to be
Angus is giving me claws.
Well, you haven't introduced him yet.
Oh, I mean,
Wow.
mystery person. Who's this person?
Spoiler.
Angus MacDonald.
Hey.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
Everybody,
you, I'm back.
Angus is back. After how many episodes? It's been quite a long
been a
time.
while.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
It's been, and then like the.
It's been.
Thank you.
There you go. Thanks, Taylor.
Wasn't sure if that scanned. We got some BNL fans, right?
Don't worry, dude.
I assume
It
everyone.
landed on this side of the country. People are losing.
Oh man. So for today, we are gonna go with our top 5 real life scary stories. Now, let's lay out some ground rules here before we get started. So we say real life, like, do we have to have proven that it's real?
I think that would be kind of tough.
Yeah.
With a lot of these, yeah.
I mean, how about people really believed that these things...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Like I don't know. Like it's like we're not telling the one about the like the hook on the door of like the car. You know, like we're not telling. Like,
I didn't see
Not
that
like,
episode of
not
Friends.
urban legends.
Yeah, we're not telling urban
Yeah.
legends. We're telling.
We're
like,
not. Shit, I'm the host.
We're just we're telling like stories that have at least a certain amount, at least
Like scary stories around like real places
Ooh,
or
yeah.
like real people or
Yeah.
Something like that.
Exactly.
I would say.
Any other ground
Or
rules?
completely made up. Whatever you have, Tuong, will be fine.
I'm sure we can make it work.
Well, I have to say, this is the first. Usually, I go into a podcast pretty blind. I make my list. Spoilers like an hour before the podcast actually happens, but with this one, not enough
You're
scary
seeing the
stuff.
sausage being made here, folks.
Not enough scary things have happened to me.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting, yeah, because you came to me, you're like, oh, we're gonna do like a spooky story, scary story episode, and I was like, all right, great, that sounds awesome. I just love being on the show, but I then had to go and look up online. Okay, what are some good spooky stories? I had like 2 that popped into my head right away.
Yeah.
but I had
Yeah.
to go reaching the rest.
You know, in the research, I got kind of spooked myself
little
because
bit.
there's a lot of like reading, and I'm like, oh man, that's scary. People have terrible lives. So I actually went into like a dark hole of like how exorcism works and things like
Oh,
that.
damn.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah.
Dang.
It was quite a thing. All right, so just like every other episode, we all are gonna nominate 3 scary stories and make a list of 12, and then we're gonna whittle that down into a top 5 list. Okay, so I'll go first. And this one is probably the one I spent my most time on here. I wrote quite a bit for it. Are we trying to say it in a scary voice, or can I just be normal about this?
We'll try to sell it.
Like, you bailed pretty hard on the
I
Dracula
couldn't be a
voice.
vampire. I'm a bailer.
I'd say you're a good storyteller, though. You've got some
Yeah.
good skills. You know
I'll
the
try.
Spin us a yarn,
Yeah.
Tuong.
Yeah.
I will spin some yarn. All right, guys. The year was.
Please.
I'm bailed.
No,
No.
Oh, you had us. You had
This
us.
story is called "The Exorcism of Latoya Ammons," and I'm pretty sure it's Ammons. So I might have messed up that pronunciation. This happened in Gary, Indiana. And essentially, it's about a mom and her 3 kids being possessed by demons.
Shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Family fun time.
Yeah. There was essentially 800 pages of official records obtained by the Indianapolis Star. And the crazy thing is that there was a bunch of third-party investigations going on at the exact same time. So it wasn't like one news outlet said, hey, this happened, and then everybody believed them. It was just like a compilation of all this data being like, hey, this is kind of weird. So that was kind of spooky. Dozens of interviews with police, psychologists, family members, and a Catholic priest who did the exorcism, which, doing some digging, exorcism takes a long time.
Yeah.
It's not one sitting. You gotta, sometimes
No?
it takes months.
Damn.
Yeah.
Depending on the demon.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah,
Just
depending
like a
on the
big-
demon, you gotta call it out by its name. You gotta find out its name.
Yeah.
It's a
Oh,
whole
that's a
thing.
thing, yeah.
It's a whole thing.
I play D&D. I know how to handle demons.
I know my way around a demon, okay?
Let's see. I pulled some quotes here. Youngest boy, then 7, sat in a closet talking to a boy no one else could see. The other boy was describing what it felt like to be killed. And then the 12-year-old girl would later tell mental health professionals that she sometimes felt as if she were being choked and held down so that she couldn't speak or move. She said she heard a voice say she'd never see her family again and wouldn't live another 20 minutes. Yeah, this thing gets dark.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. So
mine are dark too.
I'm not gonna. I don't want to read everything here, but let's see if I can pull one more here.
Any like highlights that you want to get to? Some really messed up stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yes, there was. So during I think it was with a psychologist, the boy ran backwards up a wall onto the ceiling,
What?
holding his grandmother's hand, apparently.
Wow.
And I was like, how is that possible?
So the grandmother stayed on
And
the
that
ground.
boy
but
grew
he
up
ran
to become Michael Jackson.
It was truly was.
Yeah, I
a
don't know
thriller.
how I don't know how that works, because apparently they're like, okay, prove it, do it again, and then obviously
And
the
then he
boy
couldn't.
couldn't do
Yeah.
it, but apparently that was
Wow.
a true thing, and a couple eyewitnesses saw that happen. So
Damn.
yeah, this was a
That's
pretty.
in a movie. That's in like The Omen
Yeah,
or something
that-
like that. A little boy crawling
That's
around like
yeah.
a yeah.
Yeah, we're
They
just
must have
talking about our
used that.
favorite scary movies, right?
Yeah.
No. Apparently, this is a thing that actually happened. So walking up backwards up a wall.
That's pretty terrifying.
It's pretty scary.
And the whole family was possessed. The mother and the 2 children were
I think it was 3 children.
3 children. They
I'm
were
pretty
all
sure.
possessed.
They were all possessed.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's some scary.
There must have been
shit.
something in the house or something.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. Taylor, what do you
Yeah.
got?
Wait, hold up. What happened to the family?
Oh, you know, they all died really
the
young,
exorcism was
Turns out it was just puberty.
apparently it turned out okay at the end. Like the children had no memory of what happened in the last couple months or whatever it
God.
was, and they were able to exorcise these demons. What do you got?
All right. My first one I'm going to go with. Now, there's some weird names, but have you ever heard of the Dyatlov Pass incident?
No.
Ooh, well, let me tell you all about it. Good. I was afraid Angus is going to have that one. So here we go. In the early winter of 1959, there were 9 people, 7 men and 2 women. They were all experienced hikers, and they went missing for almost a month while they were taking a break from their grad studies. So these are like early 20s, young, fit people. When they failed to return, a search party was sent out, and they found the first body. The first body was Igor, whatever, Dyatlov. That's where the thing got its name, the Dyatlov Pass. But they found his body. He was lying in snow near a riverbed and next to a burnt-out fire pit. Search dog then found 2 more bodies, 200 yards apart, spaced out from one another, but all the bodies were in a line, like they were making their way back to the tent. And the tent, speaking of, is where the things started to get really strange. The tent was pitched in the uppermost slope of the Kolatsiakol, aka the Mountain of the Dead, in its native Siberia. Yeah, so it's really earning its stripes here. So yeah, they find this tent. It's just pitched up on ski poles, and the tent was completely buttoned, completely sealed, like tight at the front, but there were giant knife slashes down the sides of the tent, which they believe the people fled through that. Inside the tent, everything was intact. Everything is exactly where it should be. But leading away from the tent, also, there were barefoot tracks that led a third of a mile away from the tent and then just disappeared. So these people left for some reason, and they were all barefoot doing so. This is like sub-zero temperatures, so the search party's like, what is going on here? Inside the tent, perfectly intact, there were warm clothes, waterproof jackets, blankets, sweaters, cameras, diaries, cooking utensils. Everything just left exactly where it was. Like they just up and, jumped ship. The cameras and stuff they checked as well, and it's just a bunch of photos of them having like a great time, a great hike. Yeah.
But in the background of every picture.
Oh no.
Did they find all 7 of them, or did they just find 3 of them?
Cut 2.
Shit. Catherine, are you part of the story?
Yeah, she's my hype woman. 2 months later, before they found the rest of the bodies, the bodies were under 15 feet of snow in some like den that they kind of like dug for themselves, fashioned for themselves to stave away the cold, I guess. Again, some of the people are fully clothed, but others aren't. They don't know what happened. But they had broken bones and severe internal damage, but no external damage at all. They didn't even have scratches.
Whoa.
Yeah. Some of their clothing, they did tests on the clothing when they were doing their autopsies, and some of the pieces of the clothing showed higher than normal traces of radiation, which they don't know what that was about. And one of the hikers, one of the girls actually, was missing her eyes and tongue.
Oh.
Whoa.
So it's like aliens. It's aliens, right?
Aliens.
Clearly.
Well,
The
radiation,
official
right?
Soviet investigator, Lev Ivanov. I only wrote his name because it was fun to say.
And you said it really well.
Thank you. I really leaned into it. And I didn't bail, Tom.
I know. Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
You want to host the show?
Yeah, but the investigator, he described the whole incident as quote, an unknown elemental force which they were unable to overcome. But apparently to other people, he said aliens. He thought it was aliens. So good call on that one. And with that statement he gave about the thing, they closed the book on the incident now known as the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Wow.
How do you spell that?
Dyatlov.
Dyatlov.
Dyatlov. You guys want to go on a
Named after
trip?
Igor Dyatlov.
Is that?
We should go there.
We should go to
Check it out.
Let's check it
trip,
out.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
a quick. Just want to check it
Yeah,
out.
we'll cut our way out of our
Nobody's ever
tent
just
and
hanging
run
out
away.
in the
A
mountains.
tent's not
again.
that hard to cut out of.
No, I know.
I could do it with my hands.
And I was immediately like, oh, they probably just did drugs and like went crazy. But
the fact that there's not a scratch on them,
yeah, that's
weird.
That's a little upsetting. Yeah.
That's
And then
weird.
like internal bleeding and hemorrhaging
Also,
and all that
eyes and
stuff and
tongue
broken
missing.
bones.
That's bad.
Eyes and tongue missing.
Yeah.
And the radiation. How do they explain
There's
that?
so much. There's so
Unless
much.
the guys doing the measuring were also like riddled with radiation.
And it's just something in Siberia. Yeah.
They think there's radiation
So they were
everywhere. It's
so
just them.
mysterious. Catherine, what do you got as your scary story?
Okay. Well, this one it's a scary place that has a lot of scary stories and legends attached to it.
Okay.
And why I wanted to bring it up is because I've been doing a lot of research about it because I'm hoping to visit it in the spring.
Ballsy.
It's
Goodbye.
in apparently the most haunted state in the US of A, Louisiana.
Okay.
If you think about it, there's so many friggin' scary movies like True Detective, like all these creepy things that happen in Louisiana, and it's a lot based on real things that have happened there. So this main story takes us back to like Civil War sort of era. It all takes place at the Myrtle Plantation, and essentially it's rumored that about 12 people were murdered there. Now, a historical record only shows one person, but I mean, the other 11 people, it could be exaggerated stories. It could be like stories that were like slightly changed over time. Like, who knows? First thing is that it's definitely on like an indigenous burial ground. So, I mean, that takes us back to like poltergeist. Like, we know that's not a good thing, right?
That was a real skeleton, by the way.
Was it?
In that movie? Yeah.
In the
Whose?
pool.
Weird.
I believe a Native American. No. it was donated for movies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could you do that? Wow.
You can.
You could donate your skeleton for
To
movies?
Hollywood.
I want to donate my whole body. Just blow me up. Make it look real. Please continue your story.
The main story is about this slave girl who she apparently was forced into being like the master's mistress, and as a result, I think the wife found out or something like that, so they chopped off her ear. And to get revenge, what she did is she baked this birthday cake for the family and put white oleander in it, and like essentially killed like the wife and children.
What is white?
White
Yeah,
oleander
thank you.
is this. It's like a flower that's
Okay.
quite poisonous,
You
but it's
don't
like it's
know?
hard to detect. It's similar to what they use in Breaking Bad. Like
Oh,
resin.
ricin,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
ricin.
like a similar kind of thing.
Okay, wow.
So she baked it into the cake and like killed them all.
Oh, yeah.
Or some people say that she baked it into the cake to make them sick, so that she would like nurse them back to health and make her like really important to them.
Whoa.
But it did not work, and they all died.
watch this movie.
And she ended up being like
Either way, win-win, right?
yeah, right? And then she ended up being hung and all this sort
Oh.
of stuff. And they say that, like, the spirit of the slave girl haunts the place and the whole family. And the actual person, one of the, I think, like, the son or something like that, their surviving son was actually shot in the house. And they say a bunch of, like, Civil War soldiers were shot there and stuff like that. So just, like, a whole lot of deaths.
Wow.
Oh, man.
And apparently they run it as like a B&B now, and you can go and stay there, and like there's these hilarious YouTube videos of people like just psyching themselves out all night being like, I heard something. Like, guys, my phone isn't working, it's the ghosts.
Oh, my battery's dead.
Oh no, that's what it is, because apparently ghosts like drain your battery or something. So it's people
yeah.
looking at their phone being like, oh my god, guys, I just charged it instead. That's
amazing.
That's the scary part, right? My
What are we
phone
gonna
is
do?
dead.
Yeah.
There's no Wi-Fi. No, the best is if I ran that B&B, I would serve cake to everyone. Like, you want some
Birthday
cake?
cake. Yeah.
Here you go. Have some cake.
You're like, I don't know if I want that. Yeah, so we're going to Louisiana in the spring anyways, but
Yeah.
I really wanted to hit that place
You're gonna
out.
hit
my
that.
God,
Are you
hell
gonna
yeah.
stay there?
No, I don't think so.
You got it.
No,
You got it.
I just
You were
want to
just
see
saying.
it.
You were just saying that those people were psyching themselves out. You gotta go.
You gotta go and
you
make a
gotta
video.
report.
But guys,
for
what
us.
if my phone dies? What do I do?
Shit. I don't know.
Oh.
That's true.
So that's the Myrtle
External
Plantation.
charger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
portable battery?
Yeah.
But the battery
But
died
the,
too.
oh my god. That's
Okay,
scary.
so my go.
Wait, what's
Yeah,
the
go
name of that?
Oh, wait,
What would
It's
you?
the Myrtle Plantation.
The Myrtle Plantation.
Myrtle.
Angus.
Tuong, you're gonna love me because I gave all of mine names.
Okay.
I call this one
Angus is the best. Angus has great titles.
Don't get ahead of me.
Okay.
I call this one The Water at the Cecil Hotel. Are you any
Wow.
guys familiar with the
Oh,
Cecil Hotel?
nice.
Yeah, you know this one, Taylor?
Dark water.
Yep, Dark Water.
Yeah.
So, wait, was the movie Dark Water based on that?
Yeah.
Oh
Just go
shit!
ahead.
Really? Okay, I haven't seen it. Okay, so this is called The Water at the Cecil Hotel. In 2013, guests were at this Cecil Hotel. I think it's in Los Angeles, and they were having trouble with their water. It was like smelling funny, and it tasted funny, and eventually it started coming out black, like out of the faucets. And I don't know, being lazy Americans or whatever they were doing, no one really reported it for like a week. They just people stayed in this hotel. And this
Just drank
black
black
water, absolutely. They were drinking, brushing their teeth with it, bathing in it. It was disgusting.
I think like people complained to the hotel staff, but
So-
this is like a dingy hotel right off like Skid Row.
Yeah,
So
it's
they're like, I'm
not the
feeling it.
classiest hotel, and I'll
Got
explain
it.
that why in a little bit. But eventually, someone did complain, and they sent someone up to the cisterns on the roof, which were filled with like water for in case the droughts and stuff like that. So they use that water to go through the system and stuff. And he opened one up, and he found a body in it. So it was the body. It's the body of a Canadian student. Her name was Elisa Lamb, and no one knows how she got there.
I have heard about this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So no one knows how she got there. She'd been there for a while. She was starting to decompose and liquefy. It's really, really gross. But what's crazier is no one knows how she got there. But there's closed circuit TV. Like there's video footage from inside
The elevator, right?
Yeah, and there's the last footage of her. She's like kind of like not running, but she's walking down this hallway in the hotel, and she's walking really, really quickly, like she's being followed. She keeps looking over her shoulder. I've actually seen the video footage. It's really creepy. And she gets in the elevator and she presses a button, and she looks really scared, and she keeps looking out the elevator. And there's footage of the hallway. There's nothing in the hallway. There's nothing following her. Nothing that we can see, at least. So she disappears after that, and she ends up in the water reservoir, and no one knows how she got there, and cops, police people investigating, they don't think it's a suicide because it's really hard to drown yourself. They don't think she accidentally opened up the water reservoir and fell in and then closed it behind her. So people assume foul play, but there's no evidence at all. And so the creepiest part of it, though, is that the Cecil Hotel there was a ton of suicides there. There's a ton of murders there. And 2 separate serial killers have stayed there at different points in time.
Oh, man.
And I think it's still open, and I want to go stay there.
And I also
Yo,
want to
Angus,
film
I
a
hear it
video.
drains your battery.
You guys.
Wait, where is it?
It's in Los Angeles.
Oh, in LA.
It's the Cecil Hotel, yeah. And so it's super
Weird.
scary. Totally recommend, if you don't want to sleep well, go check out the footage of it. It's really, really creepy.
Yeah, it's. I actually did see that. It was like a 5, 6, 7 minute video of her just like her freaking out in the elevator and then coming off of it and talking to what seems to be nobody and going back in,
Weird.
and it's
almost
really
like
weird.
She's like playing a game at certain points too.
Yeah, it's
so you've
like,
all
like
seen
hide and
this.
seek.
Oh god.
it's weird. It's very, very weird.
That's why, doing research for this topic made me.
This is this is the first one that popped into my head when you said I had heard about it on like the Cracked podcast, and I was like, "Yep, I need to."
That's the one.
That's my.
We're
one.
not stealing ideas. We're not rehashing.
Well,
No.
Hey,
No.
man. Well,
Hey.
We're breathing new life into
Yeah, with the
Lovingly
voice of
ripping
Angus
off.
MacDonald. How
Yeah.
you would never get that anywhere else.
You know.
You know.
My titles are pretty good.
yeah,
too.
that was
The
good.
Water at the Cecil Hotel. Blackwater is a
So that
better
means
name.
people are brushing their teeth with like decomposing.
Absolutely.
No.
They were bathing in it.
Oh, that's why I always bring a water filter.
Well, that's counts.
That's why.
Brita water filters on sale.
It's body proof.
Ew.
Oh God.
R.I.P.
Okay.
R.I.P.
All right, we're going into
Creepy.
round 2 here.
Whew, I'm creeped out.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Well, mine is. I like this one, even though it's. I guess it was also from Cracked. I took a screenshot, but I'm gonna say it anyways. This one's called the Axemen of New Orleans.
Ooh.
See,
nice.
Louisiana, more creepy Louisiana.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let me just read you this log line here. This guy terrorized. Is it New Orleans or New Orleans? I always fucking
Depends
It's
on
actually
who says
Nolans.
it. Nolans.
Nolans? This guy terrorized New Orleans for 2 years, in which he butchered 12 people to death for no apparent reason other than raw psychopathic insanity. He taunted the police with a letter in which he claimed to be a demon, unholy, not of this earth, as well as a huge fan of jazz. Seriously, he vowed not to attack any house in which a jazz band was hired to sing. He was never caught, but our guess is that he was an out-of-work jazz musician. But
Clearly.
I actually pulled up the letter.
I wish he was called like the Mad Scatter, and he's like shoobity boop, just
Mad
Just
scatter.
like a couple walking down,
chopping
like,
people up.
yeah.
at nighttime,
So-
like, do you hear that?
It's the jazz man. I'm not the jazz man.
Jazz.
But anyways, I'll read a little blurb from this
Wait,
letter.
maybe he just played guitar.
Yeah.
And that man was Carlos Santana.
And that man was Ryan Gosling from La La Land because he liked jazz.
No, that would
can
make
do
a whole lot of
anything,
sense.
can't
Yeah.
Okay, this is funny. So I'll read just a little bit of this. If you wish, you may tell the police to be careful not to rustle my jimmies.
No.
Yeah, no. Of course, I'm a reasonable spirit. I take no offense at the way they have conducted their investigations in the past. In fact, they have been so utterly stupid as to not only amuse me, but His Satanic Majesty, Francis, Joseph, etc. But tell them to beware, let them not try to discover what I am, for it were better that they were never born than to incur the wrath of the great Axeman. I don't think there is any need of such a warning, for I feel sure the police will always dodge me as they have in the past. They are wise and know how to keep away from all harm. Now I'll just scroll down a little bit.
He says that in the letter?
Yep. He talks about scrolling because he was ready. He thinks of himself as he's telling everyone from New Orleans to think of him as the most horrible murderer ever. And then he writes, now to be exact, at 12:15 earthly time, in brackets, on next Tuesday night, I am going to pass over New Orleans. In my infinite mercy, I'm going to make a little proposition to you people. Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in my nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose home a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have just mentioned. And then he just keeps going and going.
So he
and
just
going.
wanted everyone to like party.
Yeah. So what happened is that everybody that night played jazz.
No way, they did?
Everybody, like all the clubs and whatever, and he literally never came back
He
again.
passed over.
Yeah.
Wow.
He got his jazz
So-
wish and he was good.
So sorry, you might have said this at the beginning. I think I missed it. Do you have do they have numbers on how many people he killed?
12.
He killed 12 people.
12 people.
Wow.
Chopped them to
Whoa.
bits. The nether regions part and Rustle My Jimmies.
Rustle my jimmies.
That's very old timey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? Well, yeah.
Tongue,
this
I don't think you can say that on the radio.
I know.
Oh, my god.
yeah.
Well, wow. The Axeman.
The Axeman or the Jazzman. Who knows?
Jazzman. I like the Mad Scatter pretty good.
Mad scatter. That's pretty good.
It's like bleeding gums burning.
I'll bleed your gums.
Taylor, what do you have as your second nomination?
All right. This one is a little bit longer than my last, but bear with me because it's a good one. Okay, yeah. So my next one is the Hinterkaifeck farm murders. Does anybody know that one?
No.
No.
All right. Hurrah. Okay, so Bavaria, 1922. Hinterkaifeck was a farm located within the woods about 1 kilometer outside of the town Kaifeck. So Hinterkaifeck's the name of the town, the name of the farm. The farm is owned by the Grubers. There's Andreas, the dad, Kazilia, the wife, Victoria, their adult widowed daughter, and her 2 kids, also Kazilia, which is going to be confusing, and Joseph. The daughter, Kazilia, is 7. Joseph was 2. Andreas, the dad, he's like a bad dude known around town. He's known to be really violent with his wife, with his kids, and rumor had it that he had the hots for his daughter, Victoria, and one of the rumors is that Joseph was actually their kid. Not super important, but just to set, they're a,
stuff.
yeah, really Game of Thrones. Yeah, I was going to say more murder, but no, it's
Less
not farm.
dragons for sure.
Yeah.
right there.
Well, that's where you're wrong. See, go ahead, tell him, Taylor.
The farmers were the dragons.
So, one day their maid, because they had a maid, apparently they're doing well, she up and quits immediately. She said she hears strange noises, voices from coming around the house, and footprints, like disembodied footprints coming from the attic. She split, cut and run. They thought she was crazy. They thought she was mentally disturbed. Anyway, 6 months later, Andreas was surveying the property and found strange footprints in the snow that had come from the thick surrounding forest right up to the house. There were no footprints that led back to the woods, and there were no footprints like leading anywhere, just right from the woods right up to the house and then gone. The dad searched the house, the barn, the tool shed, the whole property, but he found no prints or signs of an intruder. That night actually, Andreas hears strange, inexplicable noises coming from the attic. He gets up, he searches things because he remembered what the maid was saying. He doesn't find anything. But the next day when he wakes up, he finds an odd newspaper on their front porch that nobody recognizes. Like, it's from a town that nobody's heard of. They're like, what the hell is this? Anyway, so on March 30th, a set of his keys goes missing. He can't find them, but whenever he's looking for his keys around the property, he finds scratches on the lock to the tool shed, like somebody was trying to pick it to get in. March 31st, they got a new maid. The maid was called Maria, and Maria's first day on the job would also be her last. And it's also the last day that anybody saw the Grubers alive. April 4th, after the weekend, the townspeople became concerned about the Grubers. Nobody had seen them. The kids hadn't been to school. Victoria, she was in like the church's choir and stuff. Apparently she had a beautiful voice. She wasn't at church, and their mail was piling up at the post office. So they're like, something's up here. So a group of people headed to the farm, but they went around calling for them, and they never got any answer. There was an eerie silence that covered the whole farm. They opened the barn and were met with a horrifying sight. Lying in a pool of blood were the bodies of Andreas, his wife, his daughter, and their granddaughter, Kazilia. The bodies were stacked on top of one another and covered in hay. Yeah. So, like, it's bad enough that there's a bunch of dead bodies, but they're like, what's going on here? The horrified search party found the others in the farmhouse. Joseph was dead in a cot in his mom's bedroom, and Maria was also dead in her bedroom. Both had bled profusely, and they were found in pools of congealed blood. The Munich Police Department. Munich was a little more than an hour away from this, like, sleepy little town. So the Munich Police Department came in. Preliminary autopsies show that all the victims had been killed by precise blows to the head with a pickaxe.
Ooh.
Was it from the tool shed?
That's one theory.
Conspiracy.
What do we got here? Yeah, conspiracy. Actually, yeah, I'll talk more about that at the end. But Victoria also showed signs of strangulation, but the autopsy showed that's not what she actually died from. And her daughter, Kazilia, actually lived for a few hours after her pickaxe to the head.
No.
She kept going. And there were actually like tufts of hair that were like pulled out of her head, but they don't know why. Most of the family was dressed in their bedclothes except for Victoria and Kazilia, her daughter. So their leading theory is that the killer would lure the family members out to the barn one by one, and starting with Victoria and Kazilia, because they weren't dressed in their bedclothes where everybody else was. So they think that happened earlier in the night. Then as the night goes on, she was like, where's my daughter? She goes out to look for her. Pickaxe. The mom or the dad's next. They're like, I'm going to go look for them. And they both go to the barn, and they don't come back. And then the killer goes into the house and finishes off Joseph and Maria, the maid.
Jesus.
All the bodies are covered, like with the hay in the barn. Maria, the maid, was covered with a bed sheet, and Joseph was covered with one of his mom's skirts. The date of this is like the oddest part. The date of the death was determined to be March 31st, 1922, but witnesses said that they saw smoke coming from the chimney all weekend long.
So there are people still there?
Yeah, the killer just hung out there for the weekend.
So yeah, not only
Weird.
that, all the livestock was fed and cared for. They had a dog. It was like tied up outside to a barn, but like completely unharmed. None of the animals were harmed.
Guys, I just got goosebumps.
No, it's just cold. It's cold in here.
There were meals. There's evidence that meals have been eaten and beds have been slept in over the weekend, and like
Multiple beds?
just. I don't know, maybe just one bed. I just had bed.
But
man.
yeah.
Good call.
Wow.
I mean, I guess you've got your pick of the litter. Why not try out a couple?
Yeah.
Weird.
That's
Yes.
creepy.
So whoever killed the family stayed there for a couple days, and they didn't know why anybody would do that. And even after interviewing more than 100 people, the police had no leads. To this day, no one knows the true story of what happened to the Gruber family that cold winter night and the Hinterkaifeck farm.
Oh, man. This is supposed to be a fun podcast, Taylor.
So here's what I would do. If I made that into a movie, you know what I'd do? The guy that killed them, that was what's-her-name's husband. He wasn't actually dead. She wasn't actually a widow.
Okay, so there are
Yeah.
so many
Are there
theories about this,
theories?
and that's
Yeah.
actually one of them.
Oh,
'cause,
fuck yeah, really?
Yeah, like she was widowed. He went to the war.
Yeah.
And they're like, he didn't die in the war. He came back, and like that's why she had been strangled as well. And like the killer knew them because that's why all the bodies were covered. Like he stayed there but couldn't stand to look at them still.
See, if I were to turn this into a movie, I would hire Johnny Depp. I would change a little bit of the plot, where at the end I would bury the family into the cornfield and grow them as corn.
And then eat corn.
And
at
then
the
you
end
had
of
this
the
corn.
amazing crop. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would just be him going num 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 eating corn at the end.
Secret Window, bad movie.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fine movie. It's a bad ending.
Whatever.
But the whole movie is about how endings are important.
That's right.
And then it really doesn't.
It's
stick
a
the
bad
landing.
movie. It's a bad movie.
It's a bad movie.
Ironic. Yeah.
Catherine, what do you have?
Okay, this was a story that was told to me when I was at summer camp. So I guess maybe the context of where I heard it might be important. So we were on our like senior camping trip. So senior meaning I was a senior camper, so I was about 14 or 15 years old, and my summer camp was in the Laurentians, and we like all paddled over to this little island in the middle of the lake. That was essentially, just a tiny island with the creepiest shack on it and just like woods. And so right before bedtime, my counselor told us this story, which was perfect timing on her part. She was great. Essentially, she told me the story of something that happened to a friend of hers. So this friend, I believe she was in Algonquin Park. And when she was maybe 18 or 19, something like that, like young, but an adult, she decided to take a solo camping trip for about a month. So she got everything prepared. She brought a really beautiful camera with her because she wanted to take beautiful pictures. So the whole time she had no problems. She had a great trip. She was taking all of these pictures, having a great time, having, some sort of like self-discovery sort of trip, you know what I mean? And then, so this was the late 90s, early 2000s. So the camera that she had it was film, right? It wasn't like a digital camera. So she had to go, like back in the day, and go and get it developed. And she had rolls and rolls of film of pictures that she took. Now, the first roll was totally fine. It was like a picture of a moose, beautiful sunset, her canoe, something like that. Great. The second roll, it started that way, and then it actually turned into a picture of her sleeping. And then a picture of her sleeping from a different angle, and then a picture of her sleeping on a different night from a different angle. And then it was like an entire roll of pictures of her sleeping.
Whoa.
And she was by herself, and it was over multiple nights.
Holy shit.
And and she didn't notice because it wasn't digital photography, right? So she would have just been like, oh, this roll's done, moving on to the next, right? She didn't realize, and the way I remember it is that there were pictures of her sleeping over like multiple rolls. Even the next roll would be like a picture of a bird, and then a picture of her sleeping, and then another picture of her sleeping, and
That's
and
creepy.
And so
So
I
your
was
camp counselor's like, now go to sleep.
yeah, exactly.
All right, night.
Yeah, she's like, isn't that crazy? Okay, good night, kids.
No.
And
Oh my
I remember laying there staring at the woods, being like, I'm never gonna sleep again. That's awful. But what's the creepiest part is that like she noticed nothing.
Yeah.
She was completely fine. It was when she got back and started looking at her pictures that she realized like essentially someone was following her
And got close enough to take
to
her
take
camera.
pictures of her as
On
she was
her
sleeping.
camera.
Yeah.
So once again, if I was doing a movie of this, the climax would be like her like shuffling through the pictures, and it would be more and more pictures of her sleeping, and then the last picture would be like her looking directly into the camera, and boom, jump scare.
Yeah. Or like a selfie of the dude or something.
And if I were to turn this into a movie, I would replace her with Johnny Depp again.
Of course.
You just want to make a movie with Johnny Depp, that's all.
Please, Johnny, please return my calls. That's super creepy.
Right? Yeah.
Oh man, that's so simple. Like that's
Yeah.
like
That's just
really creepy.
ooh.
That's got like the same vibe to me as like, like the people go to the makeout point, and then there's like the hook on the door. Just
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
like everything's fine except the
Well,
end.
and that's the first
Yeah.
story I think we've had with no
The
one
other shoe
dying in it.
drops.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
That's
she was
creepy.
totally fine. She just realized how fucking creepy that was.
I don't even understand how it's like, oh, that was so creepy. It's like I would be terrified. I would assume someone's still following me.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Ruin
consider
my life.
my Jimmy's ruffled.
Take two.
Good one.
My
Take a
new
callback.
tagline. New
James
tagline.
Russell.
Angus.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys. I call this one the Lincoln Shining.
Ooh.
So you guys remember Abraham Lincoln, right?
Abraham Lincoln, who's that?
Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States. I actually think I'm right there. Okay, so there's this very, very famous picture of him the night he was killed. So in the balcony, it was him, his wife Mary Todd, John Wilkes Booth, who shot him in the back of the head. And there's two other people in the picture. There's Army Major Henry Rathbone and his wife, his soon-to-be wife, Clara Harris, who's the daughter of a U.S. senator. So they're both in the balcony with him, and they were right there when he got killed. Now, being in the Army, Henry felt like it was his duty to protect the president. So he felt really bad. Like really bad. He actually wrestled with John Wilkes Booth, ended up getting stabbed, but he survived. John Wilkes Booth got away for a little bit, and then I forget how that story ends. But anyway, we're not following John Wilkes Booth. We're following Henry Rathbone here. Mm-hmm. So he goes on years later. He's thinking about this like every single day, as you would if you were right there when the president was shot, and you felt like you could have done something, and it started to wear on him. And so it's years have passed. He's got, he finally married Clara Harris, and they've got 3 kids together, and he's working as a U.S. consul in Hanover, Germany. And he's been thinking about it all the time, about how he could have saved the president, and he just snaps. And just like in The Shining, he gets an axe and he walks around his house in Germany, and he's going to go kill his kids.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and his wife stops him. But
Why?
Why did she stop him? Or why did
Why is he trying to kill his kid?
we'll get to that. So it's December 23rd, 1883. He decides to kill his kids, and presumably he's going to kill his wife next. She
Do you think he just forgot to get them Christmas presents?
He's like, ugh,
this will be easier.
It's actually the axe was a gift. It was just a huge misunderstanding. Anyway, so his wife intervenes, and he ends up killing his wife. Then he stabs himself out of guilt. He once again has killed someone who he was supposed to be protecting. He stabs himself, hopes to kill himself, but he doesn't die. And the police find him, and they don't send him to jail. They send him to an insane asylum because he's insane. He's actually thought that there were people behind the pictures in his home who were telling him things like, you should have saved him.
That is The Shining.
The president's dead because of you. Exactly. Shit. Right. And this is way, so he's got voices coming from all the paintings in the house. His house are talking to him. And so he's in the insane asylum, and then he's in his insane asylum, and he claims that there are machines in the walls that are putting gas in his room to give him headaches and to make him more crazy. So he gets in this huge conspiracy of like of all these people that are just like out to get him and stuff like that, and he just loses his mind, and all because he was at the theater with the president. He probably thought that was gonna be the best day ever. Like, I'm a war hero. I'm gonna go sit next to the president at this awesome play. I don't remember what play it was. President gets killed, and his life is never the same.
What if the play was The Shining?
Yeah, so he spent the rest of his life in a lunatic asylum where he complained of secret machines in the walls blowing gas in his room to give him headaches. So
wow.
So he basically
Lincoln Shining.
The Lincoln Shining. So there's a lot more details to it, but it is very much like The Shining.
Wow.
And he stalks around his house and chases people and stuff like that, and he's got like an axe, and and it's real life though.
But he only killed his wife.
He only killed his wife. I didn't see that. I don't think his kids died. As from all of the 2 articles I read on it, was he was going to kill his kids, and his wife intervened to stop him. And one count said he shot her, and one said he killed her with
the axe.
The axe, yeah.
Everybody and their axes.
Right.
Come on. What happened to good old swords?
So that's the thing.
Excalibur.
Is like back in the day,
Excalibur.
Hey, good one.
And that's the podcast. Back in the day, you didn't carry a sword around, but you'd have an axe to chop wood for your fire. So everybody had an axe.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like household tools, I guess.
Like, do you guys not have an axe?
Also pickaxe. That's a type of axe.
Pickaxe.
That's a pickaxe.
There you go.
Yeah. So we got lots of axes.
And in some zombie shows and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., there's a shotgun axe. That's a weapon
Nice.
now.
My next story:
it's
someone
like a-
bludgeoned someone to death with a can of Axe body spray.
That'd be good. That'd be
Good one.
Taylor's on fire. Okay, round 3. Okay, we're getting there. These are some good stories so
Right?
far. Yeah,
Creepy.
really
Some of these are pretty creepy.
Thoroughly creeped out. This is great.
So round 3. This one for me is a personal story. Yeah, it's not. I don't know. It's probably the one supernatural thing I think happened to me, but I was younger, so it's hard to completely remember or believe if that actually happened. I was probably around 8 or 10 years old or so.
Definitely not 9.
Definitely not 9.
Just
No,
8
no,
or
no, no, no. That's no. Of course not. That would be ridiculous. I want to call this story. I don't have a clever. I'm not clever with words like you are, Angus. You know, you have great titles.
Wordsmith. You're a wordsmith.
I'm a wordsmith.
Call back to the superhero episode.
Episode 5. No, I don't know. I think I saw a ghost. Is kind of what it came down
Ooh,
to.
okay. Lay it on us.
Yeah, so I was staying at a family friend's place that I've stayed at before, I believe. And again, this was a long time ago, and I don't even remember what the family friends look like. I haven't seen them in years. I was just a kid. I want to say it was in like Virginia or something like that. But anyways, we stayed at this place maybe twice before this incident happened. But the third time I walked in this place, or I'll rewind, back in this one place, best memories, watching some great movies, played the Sega console, played that X-Men
Nice.
game. It was
hell yeah.
so hard.
So good.
But this third time I walked into this house, it felt different. And I remember that feeling of walking in and being like, this is weird, but we're only staying here for a day because we're going somewhere else. I go to sleep that night, and we have a bunch of family, friends, and family staying at this one place. So there's a lot of people staying at this place. It's so much that we were sleeping, I remember, in the dining room, like we were in sleeping bags and stuff, just on the floor. And I remember I woke up in the middle of the night, and I really had to pee, but I really didn't want to pee or get up and pee because I felt something in the air, and it felt very uncomfortable. I've never had this feeling before. And I was like, but I really gotta pee. Tongue's gotta pee. So, so you gotta pee. So I got up, and I felt really, really weird. And I'm trying to paint a picture here. So there's a dining room, and then you can immediately, from the dining room, you can see the kitchen, but you can also see the living room. It's the kitchen and living room is just like one giant room, essentially. And the dining room is just slightly off into another room, but you can see into that giant room anyways, where people are sleeping. But everyone's passed out, and I get up, and on the wall of the living room, I see this like white orb that's circling the wall. And I'm looking around, and there's no like light coming into this room anywhere. Like there is no, I couldn't see with the source of the light, and it was just dancing around, and it felt really weird because and I really did feel like this thing was trying to talk to me, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what's happening. So I went pee, and then and I had to like cross the living room to get to the bathroom. So that was the worst part.
You had to get close to it.
I had to get kind of close to it, where it was like, it was like freaking out. Like, I don't know what was exactly happening. It looked like it was dancing, but again, there was no source of light to get to this wall. I have no idea. And it was bright white light too. Yeah. And then I went to the bathroom, and the next time I had to cross the living room again, I just like closed my eyes and like got to the living room and just went to bed. And yeah, I don't know. Like, there's no really like great ending to this story, except for I thought that thing happened to me, and everyone else was passed out, and nobody said a thing about it. So
yeah, well, that's the thing too. Is like my first thought was like, oh, well, you're young. It's probably like a flashlight, but like if someone had a flashlight, that's
and
really
nobody
crazy.
Was awake for it, and it was just so weird.
And you looked around for a source. You were awake enough to like look for a source.
I looked around, and it was bright. It didn't even look like a flashlight light. It was different.
The other thing too is that you hear a lot of these stories too about people like a big one is that people wake up in the middle of the night and they see someone standing in their bedroom. That's a big one.
Oh, that happens to me a lot because I get sleep paralysis.
I've had that before. It sucks.
Doesn't it?
Like you were standing up, right?
Yeah,
and you went pee.
Like I went to pee. I did pee. I was successful in that.
Good job.
Thank you.
You didn't pee your pants. I also think Tongue's Gotta Pee is the name of this.
Yeah, Tongue's Gotta Pee.
Tongue's Gotta Pee.
But yeah, that's my ghost story, I guess. And I looked into it years later, and apparently this is a thing. Like there is things for the people who believe in ghosts and
Yeah.
stuff. There are books on like white orb ghosts. Those are things.
Yeah.
So I was like, shit.
It's interesting too, because like I bet there's also like there's like alien stuff. I that's the second story I've heard about an orb of light floating around. But I know another person was like, oh no, it's totally an alien. And I was like, okay, yeah, it's just something we don't
It's
understand.
weird. Anyways, Taylor,
Dimensions.
what do you got here?
Ooh.
Hold on, I just want to say, I think it's impressive that your need to pee, your urge to pee, is stronger than your like fear.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. I'm a
Like,
brave
screw it.
guy.
I'm a
hero.
I'm fucking amazing.
Well, when you were 8 or 10.
You're back out of pee. Taylor, what do you got here?
My third one is also, it's not like personal to me, but it's somebody I know back home. So same deal. Yeah, back home, I'm from Charlottetown, and just a lot of the buildings there are really old, and a lot of like the restaurants are very old. Like people don't like going down in the basements and stuff. People are like, oh, I'll run down there and grab whatever I need and go back out, because it's just like weird feelings to it. But we were all just sitting around drinking one night after our bars were closed and just swapping stories like this. And one of the guys was talking about, he works at a place called Mark's Lounge, I think is what it's called. It's an old building on the very top floor. And there's a little loft in the place too. There's like you walk in and there's tables, kind of like loungy areas, like comfy chairs. There's a piano. There's a loft with a little ladder that leads up to it. And then there's the bar, and behind the bar there's a big big mirror. So one of the guys just talking, he's like, oh yeah, Mark's is haunted for sure. And people are like, oh yeah, I get that vibe too. He's saying, he's like, yeah, sometimes like he would see somebody go up into the lounge part, and then he'd be like, ugh, I have to go up and tell them that we're closed. And like he'd crawl up the ladder, and then there'd be nobody there. And he's like, what? Like I just saw somebody go up there.
Oh.
But the best one is, he was telling the story. He's like, yeah, I was doing my cash out, because the till is behind the bar facing the mirror, right? So he was doing his cash out, and he looks up and he sees a girl in a sundress. There's just like a woman standing there in a sundress in the reflection, and he looks at her and he's like, but the scariest thing is, and then another guy who works at Mark's interrupts him and goes, she didn't have any eyes. And he said, yes, that's exactly what I saw. There was a girl in a sundress with just black holes where her eyes could be. And like one person telling that story is just like creepy enough, but the fact that another guy that worked there interrupted the guy and finished it for him because he had the same thing is,
Oh man,
what, to me, sends it over the top.
Angus is showing me
I get
his
goosebumps on my
his
arm. It is
arm
also
hairs
very
is
cold.
sticking up. It is. It's not that cold.
No, but like it's cold because there's a ghost passing through the room right
Oh
now.
shit. Ooh. Catherine.
That's super creepy though.
That's
I really
creepy because
like
it's
that.
verified by like multiple sources.
The weird thing,
right?
when someone finishes your sentence on a scary thing, that's
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
Because they had seen the exact same thing.
My God.
Catherine.
So I was debating between a few, because I had a similar kind of ghosty.
Shop away.
Shep away. Oh, he's the Axeman. Fuck.
Oh no! It was Taylor all along.
You got me.
So I had a similar, I might save it for honorable mentions, but I had a similar experience when I was like 10 or 11 years old. But I wanted to bring in a ghost story from here in Ottawa.
Oh, keep it local.
Yeah, because I wanted a Canadian one, because I was, a couple I'll save for the honorable mentions. I thought of Canadian ones, and I was like, oh, cool. But then I found this one, and I was like, oh, interesting, this is here in Ottawa. So, Charles Melville, who was like a fancy financier kind of dude at like the turn of the century, right? He is the one that funds the building of the Chateau Laurier shortly after the Parliament buildings are, I want to say, rebuilt because they burnt down. Yes.
Well, it was just the library. No, the library was the part that didn't burn down. Oh, we
I
should
can't
know
remember.
this.
I don't know why you're looking
Oopsie.
at me. I
The
don't
library
know.
Canadians. Anyways,
Doors.
yeah, exactly. So then shortly after it was built, they decided to build Chateau Laurier right next door, right? So he pretty much puts all of his money into it, and he's American, but for some reason, at the time, he was in the UK, and he decided to cross the Atlantic to come for the hotel's opening. And unfortunately, do you know what boat he was on?
I do.
The
Oh,
Titanic?
the Titanic.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Turn of the century.
So he friggin' died on the
Yep.
Titanic.
Fuck.
And to this day, people, like everyone's convinced that he haunts the Chateau Laurier because, I mean, if you put your life savings into building a hotel and then you die, like literally days before it's about to open, you're going to haunt the shit out of that place.
Better.
Oh,
You
yeah.
put money
Oh, yeah.
into it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think a lot of the old hotels in Canada, they all kind of have like various ghost stories and stuff like that. But I know someone who works there and they say it's at night, you know, it's really creepy, like kind of funny things happen and that sort of thing. And they tie it all back to this Charles Melville guy,
Wow.
which I thought was kind
I
of...
worked there a little bit, just
yeah?
like with a banquet serving company, and like I walked into the office of the boss one day, just like ask her something, and she almost cried because she's like, "You scared me so bad, I thought you were a ghost." I was like, "What?" She's like, "This place
She
is
thought you were
so."
Charles Melville.
She said the janitor wouldn't go into certain rooms. He's like, "No,
Yeah.
I don't go in there."
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
my aunt, and this is a quick story. Like, yeah, she one time she tried to like the door kept flying open at the Chateau Laurier, like some
Wow.
room or whatever. But there was like
Wow.
it's not a windy day or anything like that. So she's like, okay, fuck this. So like I'm just gonna leave or like get out of this room. And then that door shut like right before she like walked out of the room.
Whoa.
And then she left. But it was like, what
Like it
is
shut on her?
It shut on her.
Oh, God.
And it's like, oh, what's the fuck's happening here? So yeah,
God damn.
scary,
Yeah.
spooky.
And it's just, you know, right a
Right
few
there.
blocks
I
Yeah,
away.
shot
it's not far from
I
there.
shot a wedding there like a couple weekends ago. So
Was it creepy?
Did you develop the picture?
Oh.
Pictures?
I'm the ghost. Angus.
Okay. Okay, so this one's called The Bloody Benders. Is anyone familiar with the Bender family?
From
Only from
Futurama.
Futurama, yeah.
Not quite.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Let's take a step back. Is anyone familiar with A Little House on the Prairie?
Yes, very
Yeah.
much so.
Ooh,
Laura
okay.
Ingalls Wilder.
Laura Ingalls Wilder. Well, Laura Ingalls Wilder grew. She lived a little bit in what was it called, Labatt County, Kansas, and not too far from where she lived, there was a family called the Bender family. So the Bender family ran an inn. They were people think they were maybe German immigrants or somewhere from Europe. They had an accent that no one could really place. No one really knew where they were from, and the family was a little weird. There was a Pa Bender, Ma Bender, and no, I was just trying to think of a joke. So there's Ma and Pa Bender, so the
Okay,
parents.
yes, yeah.
Then there's two kids. There's John Jr. and I forget what the daughter's name is. Something creepy. Anyway, so the four of them, and they think the brother and sister, they think they were like common law. They would think they were married and stuff like that, and it was all this weird stuff surrounding the family. But generally, people thought they were fine, just kind of weird. They ran an inn, and so the Bender family would take people in. And you'd be traveling and stuff like that, and you'd be tired, so you'd stop there, going through Kansas. You're like, okay, I'll stop at this nice little inn, and I'd come in, and they'd make you dinner. They'd make a big dinner, big long table, and they'd get you to sit right at the end of it, and they would get you to tell your story about how your journey was going, all these things. And while you were telling the story, Pa Bender would emerge from a curtain that hung behind the chair at the head of the table and hit you in the back of the head with a hammer.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's really messed up. And then someone would cut your throat. Gross. And then there was a trap door built in the ground. Built in the floor. And it would just drop the person, once they were dead, drop them right down into the basement where they could take all the valuables off them and ditch the body somewhere else. And they did this all the time. They didn't get an exact number once all was said and done. They did
Ballpark?
They did this for like 3 years. The Wikipedia pages just kept saying dozens, not dozen,
Ooh.
not 12. Like we had a couple stories that were 12. This was dozens.
So at least 24.
So probably around 24. A decent number of people, but
A baker's dozen?
yes, so 13. Literally baker's dozens of people. And so, and they did this for a long time, and they weren't getting caught because these people were drifting through town. They were the easiest people to take out because, well, they were gone. We didn't kill them, they left. All these things.
That's just
Right.
thinking, getting their story, be like, so do you have family? No? Okay, kill them.
Exactly.
Ah, oh, that's sneaky.
So eventually people's suspicions, though, kind of caused them to start snooping. And, well, they kind of found the family out. And the family went on the run. But before the authorities caught them, a vigilante posse was rounded up. And this is where Laura Ingalls' father factors in. He was a part of that posse. So she tells the story. She was very young when this would have happened.
Right.
But so he goes out and he's gone for like 3 days, and he comes back and she asks him what happened. He wouldn't. So apparently he wouldn't say anything about the Bender family, anything beyond the words "they will never be found." So this woman who wrote these stories for children and stuff like that, it's pretty lighthearted material, right?
I read those books. She does not mention that.
No. Well, it
Whoa.
doesn't really fit the tone of those books. But
No.
so her father apparently would never speak about it, and when he did, he wouldn't say much about it. And when he did, he'd take this very dark, strange tone, because her father's a very caring individual. These kinds of things, he would take a very strange tone, and he would say, "They will never be found again," and they never were. They were never found.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, spooky, guys. That was, wow.
It's also, sorry, one last thing.
Go ahead.
My kind of tagline for this was Little House on the Prairie meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's very familiar to I've never actually seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies,
Okay.
but it's like a family that like kills people together, and they do stuff in very weird ways, and the curtain thing is a very big thing. It's very, very reminiscent of it.
It's like they attract you. I think they take travelers and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And they attract you to
lure
the
you and
house.
get you.
And,
I don't know if I don't know if like that was part of the inspiration or something like that,
Possibly.
but there's a lot of similarities between it. So it's very creepy stuff.
All right. So, wow, we have quite the list.
Ooh, shake it off.
Yeah,
Ooh.
we're going to shake it off. We'll be back in a couple of minutes to rank all of these stories.
Top five.
Is everyone ready? Everyone good?
Yep.
Have a sip of beer. Get some of that
Get a
liquid.
little soda.
You should have had a beer.
You should have a beer, man. You're not having beer over there? What are you doing?
I don't know. I was in a rush.
Did you want to get up and grab one before we start?
I don't have beer.
Oh. That's possibly the scariest story of all night.
And then there was no beer left.
And the beer store
did the
was
beer
2 hours from closing.
But he was 3 hours away.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Pod Cavern, the Spooky Cavern. We have our list of 12 over here. And how are you guys feeling so far? Are you feeling
Pretty creeped out, actually.
Yeah,
I feel like all of
terrified.
these stories are
I'm not
really
sleeping
good.
tonight.
Like I showed you my actual goosebumps I was getting. I was getting goosebumps
I wish
for a couple of
we
these
live
stories.
streamed your goosebumps. We should have had a
Goosebump cam.
the entire time is just streaming.
For the listener, I have very, very, very hairy arms, so it's very noticeable when I get goosebumps.
His hairs were basically sticking directly up,
was
like
like
someone gelled
I was
his
like
arm
a
hairs.
porcupine.
Yeah, exactly.
Scared for
Like a terrified porcupine.
Okay, so here is our list so far. We have, starting with Exorcism of Latoya Ammons, the Dietlov Pass Incident, Myrtle Plantation, The Water at the Cecil Hotel, Mad Scatter, that's the Axeman jazz guy,
The scat man.
the Hinterkaifeck Farm Murders. A startling development. Great. Props to Angus for making that name there.
The sleepy
Great
camera
title.
time story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sleepy
exactly.
camera time.
Exactly. The Lincoln Shining. The next is Tongue's Gotta Pee. The scariest title of them all. Sundress and Dark Eyes. And then the next one is just Charles Melville. That's all I wrote here.
At the Chateau Laurier.
At the Chateau Laurier. And Bloody Benders. All right. So we got to make a list of 5 right here. Does
Okay.
anybody have any specific stories that they want to rally behind?
I have one that we have to put on the list.
Okay.
It's a startling development. Of all the stories today, that was the first one to give me. That was the one that gave me goosebumps the most, and I think it was the most surprising out of all these. A lot of them were just like, yeah, and then everyone got killed. But like that
Well,
one
yeah,
was
we
very
were-
like upsetting for me.
Yeah,
It was the most like classic spooky story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were talking about it off air on the break, is that with some of these, what's creepy about it is not knowing
The mystery.
like the kind
Yeah.
of mystery, the
like a good horror
invisible
movie.
force. Yeah, exactly. Like we were talking about sometimes in horror movies, there's this invisible force, like an alien or something, and then you see it, and then it's ruined, right? And you're like, oh, okay, that's just
It's not
a
fun.
monster that they're gonna kill now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could get behind that.
I'll give it a star, and we could talk more about it. Absolutely. The one that I really like is the jazz one. To be honest,
So
That one's kind of
I
funny.
think that's a fun
Yeah.
one, which is not a lot of fun. Well, people died. Let's be clear.
Yeah, none of these are
But-
fun stories.
But the way they beat this guy
No,
is
but
jazz.
I like that one too. Is I like the one that enough people were afraid of this actual guy's threat that they just threw parties. That they were like, okay,
And that's what he wanted.
That's what he
right?
wanted. No,
was
I'm not
one night.
completely
They
convinced
gave
it's not
him-
like early guerrilla marketing for jazz
Yeah.
clubs.
Oh yeah. No, he was, and then it's like, and then that became Mardi Gras. I don't know how Mardi Gras started, or like whatever, like because
Never since,
Well, that's the thing
yeah.
is like there's always parties down there now, and it's just because they're worried this guy will come back. I think.
Yeah.
I like that
Well,
one.
Mardi Gras is like a Catholic thing, right?
Is
It's
it?
Fat Tuesday. Yeah,
Is it?
I mean, there
But all
are
the
kind of variations of
boobs.
Mardi Gras all over the place. I know, right? It's a little
Right?
like, ironic, but it's the idea that like you binge a bunch right before
Yeah.
you fast
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Lent, right? But maybe this is like the New Orleans like twist that they put on it, like the kind of party with jazz and stuff. I don't know.
I like how you say twist and soda.
Twist. Soda. I don't know.
Also, let's put it out that it's kind of almost kind of weird to make a top 5 list of scary stories because like a lot of them are like this is like top 5 murders.
Yeah,
or
well,
like,
yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
Oh, if you want top 5 murders, buddy, I got a different.
I would like to bring up the. For me, it really creeped me out because for me, I'm creeped out by aliens. I really want to bring up the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Yeah.
The fact that there were so many people, like 7 people. The tent was perfectly intact, and the idea that there was not a scratch on
Yeah,
them,
but they had broken
were like
bones.
completely destroyed on the inside,
Some scary stuff.
and the missing tongue. Not you,
I'm
tongue.
not.
I meant
I'm
the
not.
missing-
I was.
Tongue's right here.
I'm here, right here.
Not lost him.
Yeah.
Or
Like I'd
There
like
were
to nominate that
9
one.
people.
Oh,
by the
9
way.
people. I'm sorry.
There were 9
That's
people?
even
Oh,
more.
7 boys, 2 girls.
a baker's
Right.
9.
So 10.
Guys, just play along. He has no idea.
There
what
were
that
some
means.
photos, not of the bodies or anything,
Yeah.
but like this and the farm one. They're both photos, and like I'd encourage you to check out both those
man.
stories a
I'm
lot.
not
more
gonna do
detailed.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna read up on these and never sleep again. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Taylor, do you have any that stood out to you?
I like the Cecil Hotel. It's just like, again, you have to do a bit of homework on this one, dear listeners, but check out that video because
Yeah.
it is unsettling.
It is.
Yeah,
very
sheeple.
Got him.
And again,
got
that's another one that like you can see her freaking out
Yeah.
about something, but you can't see what it is. And is there footage of like an empty hallway? Like
Yeah.
You,
there's-
you don't really see it. You can really
see a bit
only
of the hallway,
you
I
see a
think.
little bit of the hallway,
Yeah.
but only as much as what you can see out of a door. Like I can see how much like right.
Yeah.
Like you,
I see what
Taylor,
you're
you can't see
saying.
this, but I'm pointing outside the living room.
no
right
one
now.
can see.
Oh,
what
I'm
you're-
terrified, Don. Don't worry.
But no, I think the big part of it is that there's no footage of whatever is following her or whatever
she's scared
she
of.
thinks is
Yeah.
following her. There's
Yeah.
there's no footage of it. So
And there's
it's-
like visible, like she's definitely
she's-
scared.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
and we should say that one by far it was the most recent one. So obviously all right.
How recent was
When
it?
did that happen?
2013.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
Oh, I was picturing like
older
the
than that, I
60s
thought.
or something.
maybe
Yeah.
it was 2010 or something. I thought it was 2013.
Whatever. It was in the last couple of years. So
Yeah,
Right.
I could be wrong on that date, but I still think it's the most recent one. Because I saw the video on like YouTube.
If there's footage on the internet, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people, family members of the deceased.
You know, the
we
footage
mean-
didn't have to be
no.
made after the internet, right?
You know what I mean? Like it's a viral video or whatever. I don't know.
So yeah, no, I don't. I obviously support that one. I think it's really creepy. It was the first one that popped in my head when we talked about this episode. I think it's a good one.
any other ones that stand out to you guys?
The Hinter Kaifik one, I think, like a good story. It had all the familiar beats of like, okay, this family gets killed and all this stuff, and then I think the revelation that Taylor kind of walked us through of that all the people died kind of like before the weekend started. Is that what we're to believe?
Yeah.
And
They
that
died on the 31st,
whoever the killer
which I
was-
think was like a Friday or something.
Yeah. So the killer killed them and then hung out in the house.
Yeah.
Meals,
Eight
slaps.
Here's another
Slaps.
aspect that I don't know that we really got into, but one of the theories is that he was living in the house before it all happened.
Okay.
too.
I have an honorable mention. I have an honorable mention regarding
Oh
something
my
like
God.
that. So yes, that is
That's creepy. That one definitely freaked me out when we talked about it.
It was creepy. Yeah.
Any other one?
But was it spooky? I don't know.
Well, the title is scary. Actually,
Is it?
Oh.
Real life scary
Why do
story.
we keep saying spooky?
Okay, let's change it to spooky.
Yeah, well, it's
we'll go with
whatever
real
it
life
needs to
spooky
be.
stories. Yeah, whatever. It's just whatever.
I'd like to bring up the sundress dark eyes.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Because that
Another
one,
good element.
Yeah, and the idea of someone like finishing your sentence because they said they saw the exact same thing and it being like verified by multiple sources, and the no eyes thing is pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is freaky. I'll start this here.
Actually, that's a through line for a couple of Taylor's stories, the people missing their eyes.
Oh yeah.
Do you think he takes people's eyes? Like,
Are you
I'm whispering so Taylor can't hear us. But do you
Jeepers Creepers. Did you guys ever see that movie?
No.
Where'd you get them
Angus, the
peepers?
eyes are the window to the soul.
Let me in. Let me in. I think we got.
I think we got a good amount.
Yeah.
I'll make a. Let's see. So exorcism. I could live without it. It's.
That's another one I encourage you to check out more on. Like, read up on that because that's a crazy story.
Have you seen
Like,
it,
just
Taylor?
Yeah.
I'll just read this one line from it. I think it's scary because it's The Exorcist was one of the first scary things movies I've ever seen, and to see that this is like a thing that happens quite regularly around the world, and people have to exorcise these demons from people. It's kind of freaky. There's this quote where like the 7-year-old was staring into his brother's eyes and started growling, saying, "I'm going to kill you," and his eyes were rolled to the back of his like head. And then here's the quote with the jumping or walking on the ceiling thing. According to Washington's original DCS report, an account corroborated by Walker, the nurse, the 9-year-old had a weird grin and walked backward up a wall to the ceiling. He then flipped over Campbell, landing on his feet. He never let go of his grandmother's hand. That's the quote. And then something just rustled.
Jimmy's have been rustled.
Yeah,
Maybe that kid was like part of the Jabberwockies dance troupe.
Actually, fun fact, he invented parkour.
Oh, wow. He's the kid?
It was Daniel Parkour?
Little Danny Parkour. You can go ahead and start that one. I think.
We don't need to.
I will say, with exorcisms, I will say they've never really done it for me because I'm not an overly religious person. So I am not opposed to thinking like, I don't know, I like alien type stuff, and I'll even accept that like other dimensions and stuff like that, but I don't really
And one thing that gets me with exorcisms, maybe I'm a bit of a party pooper, but I mean, a lot of it can be also with modern medicine related to like mental illness and stuff like that. Like people thinking that they're possessed, but perhaps back in the day we went, they're possessed, but really they were schizophrenic. Or,
so there was talk. There was definitely talk about that in
but all 4 of them, that's weird.
That is creepy.
Yeah, it was like kind of like one by one it started happening, and like there was something with this house, and they tried doing all these like rituals to get rid of the thing, and then
did anyone do a blood test or
no, I don't know.
It was like lead poisoning or something. I don't know.
She definitely wanted to. Well, she like soaked the walls in oil or something because that's what they recommended or what. I don't know.
It's exactly like that episode of The Simpsons where they're praying at the statue, but it's just like it's propane leaking. So they have like religious. No, that is really creepy. I'll still say like the wall climbing stuff and that. Yeah,
it was more of the actual like reading up on the story. The story is way longer than what I shared, but like reading up on like how exorcism works was really like really interesting.
Like the actual process.
The process, and like how. Like the person doing it, the guy was like beefing other exorcists, which I thought was really
amazing.
Funny. He was just like, some like amateur exorcists out there don't know what they're doing, and you and you have to make sure you cleanse yourself before you even dare to perform an actual exorcist. And he was a little bit pretentious in that fact, but
I'm just picturing like a really shabby, like dirty exorcist.
I'm picturing a guy with frosted tips. What's up, bro?
Yeah,
exorcist. I'm Guy Fieri.
You'll pay me first. We don't have to include that. And the last one that I don't need to. I can live without it. But the tongue's got a pee story here.
It's got a personal element.
It hits home to me
it
because
does.
it happened to me.
Yeah, that one did seem creepier to me, but it's just that personal touch makes it so much.
Yeah, I could really picture like your family, like people sleeping on the floor, no one else is awake, but it's just you. Yeah, it's creepy stuff, man.
Having said that, at the same time, I wasn't picturing it as a scary to you, but it's like, it was dancing around. It's like, this could have been a little angel having
No,
fun.
it wasn't. I don't know what it was. Honestly, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was. It was just. It was weird. It's eerie.
Yeah.
Eerie is the word. Yeah. It was. It looked like it was trying to talk to me, but it didn't seem friendly or scary. You know.
Yeah.
Kind of, it was there.
It was just there, existing.
Did you tell anyone about it the next day? And if so, what did they say?
I think I tried to, but nobody believed me.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What
Well,
the?"
you're not going to listen to some 8 or 10-year-old kid.
They're like,
Maybe a 9-year-old.
"Go black and play your Sega."
You're just tired from playing X-Men.
That's a hard game.
It is a hard game.
Very difficult.
That's the real horror story. No, I think we can start that one for sure.
All right, I think we have enough to go on here. So I have Dyatlov Pass incident, the water at the Cecil Hotel, mad scatter, Hinterkaifeck farm murders, a startling development, and tongues gotta pee, and sundress and dark eyes. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
7.
I
Okay,
missed
now
one.
that
we
sounds
gotta,
good.
we gotta start by cutting 2.
We gotta
We
cut
gotta drop
2
2.
off.
Okay. I feel
Yeah.
really good about some of those.
This is tough because I'm debating on my own like story to make the list, but the thing is, it is a personal one, so I kind of want it to be, even if it capped the list at 5 or something.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it too because it's got like a personal kind of touch to it.
Yeah.
Here's one I'll toss out to cut: the farm murders.
Ooh.
Interesting.
So I would. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Do you have a reason why?
Just because it's like the goriest, really, and I'm leaning more towards like eerie, creepy sort of thing. You know?
Scary.
So
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
gory is scary too, and the whole idea of someone like being there and living there and potentially watching them.
yeah, that to me is really creepy.
Yeah.
I think that one's more creepy. I would say maybe drop Dyatlov Pass. I know that one's really good. There's a lot of inexplicable stuff. It's almost like there's not enough information. There's like too many theories. Whereas the Hinterkaifeck one has just enough information for us to be like,
I bet it was this.
well, yeah, like it's got enough for like there's enough like the detail that got me too for that before even. Because it was kind of mentioned at the beginning of the story, was that there's trails leading up to the house, but not away from the house. So it's to me, it's a little creepier than these students who kind of went and maybe did some drugs or something like that. And like some of them being like unclothed. I didn't want to say it earlier, but like some of them being naked, that's just a hypothermia thing.
Yeah.
And so like
No, but then again, like I'm good with you dropping this one too, but they were barefoot coming from the tent.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like they
something's-
dropped them after.
Like something scared
Yeah.
them in the tent that they would have
Yeah,
to flee.
or something outside.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one is. Yeah, this is tough.
That's tough.
That's tough.
What were the other ones? We had Water at the Cecil Hotel. We had Dyatlov Pass. We had the Hinterkaifeck. We had a Startling Development. We had Tongues Gotta Pee and Sundress, Dark
and
Eyes.
Mad Scatter.
And Mad
I
Scatter.
would personally drop the Dyatlov Pass for the Cecil Hotel.
Yeah?
Like I feel like they both have that kind of like mystery element, but like just the video, like that girl stalking through the hallways, like it's terrified.
I want to
is
keep
so much
the is it
creep
Cecil or
to me.
Cecil?
I only saw text for it, so I was looking at the Cecil Hotel, but it could be Cecil. It's either
Potato.
potato.
So
potato.
Sideshow
Tomato
Bob's
potato.
cousin, or what is
Yeah.
it, brother? Or is it brother?
Isn't that Sideshow
Cecil.
Mel?
Jim's brother.
Or-
Is it brother? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd be okay with dropping Dyatlov Pass, even though I really want to go like read about it now.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I just love aliens too, so that makes me like,
Well,
whoa.
the radiation was a good one. It's also good because it's like 9 like young people. Like it's like,
Yeah, so then why? But I mean, maybe it was possible they were doing drugs then, but well, this is the 50s. Did people... Oh,
Did
they
people
did.
do drugs
Yeah,
in the
they
1950s?
did.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, they did.
The
No, they did.
60s.
So what- they
You're
didn't
looking
have-
over the fence
yeah.
at the 60s.
Yeah.
They didn't have smartphones. They're gonna do some drugs.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
that's true. They gotta entertain themselves.
So we're dropping that one.
Guess
I
so.
think
Yeah.
so.
I feel like that and the Cecil Hotel have a lot of like similar elements with like
Yeah, they kinda check the
mystery.
same
And I
boxes.
think for me, the Cecil Hotel it's a spookier mystery.
Oh man.
I don't know.
Well, it's also got enough like proven in it too, where I actually kind of want to see it. Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that later.
Okay, so we need to drop one more. So we have Cecil Hotel, Matt Scatter, Hinterkaifeck Farm Murders, A Startling Development, Tongues Gotta Pee, and Sundress and Dark Eyes.
I almost want to say, let's cut the Mad Scatter. I love it. And I love the way that it ends. It's kind of like, but it's a happy ending, in a sense. You know what I mean?
That's the interesting part
Tuong
of it.
got to play more Sega.
It's a tough one. I see what you're saying, but I also kind of like it.
I liked the readings too from this guy who's leaving messages to the cops like, you're never gonna catch me, also I'm a demon, I'm gonna fly over the like, this guy's clearly a lunatic.
He
but he was
predates
good enough
like
to
Son
knock
of Sam, like
absolutely
that kind of
Oh, yeah, and a lot of it comes down sometimes with these like letters and stuff. It's like their legacy, right? Like they want this story and they like want to be known in this sort of thing. Like that's
Yeah, I almost feel
serial
like if
killer
you
thing,
went
right?
back to the town he's in, there's probably like one night a year where they're like, oh, that night that he said he'd fly over the town every year. We play music just to, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
But like, it's got that kind of like feel to it.
Yeah, to
But-
keep that spirit at bay or whatever.
Is that a ghost pun, Catherine?
Not intentionally, but I'll let it. I'll let it
take it. Just
fly.
take it. It was intentionally.
Okay.
Let's make a case for Sundress and Dark
I was
Eyes.
just about to say, I like that one
Ah.
as well. And I really like I like the part where it has the other person kind of
Finishing it.
corroborating it, I believe is the right term, or kind of
Yeah.
endorsing it. To me, that's kind of all that one had. Like, I don't know. It's ghosts. It's kind of like ghosts in the mirror. Do we have anything else like that? I guess not.
Well, we have Ghost.
I think
Oh, you-
Tuong's story and that one are the most similar.
You know what? I'm also looking at the Mad Scatter versus Hinterkaifeck. They're both like
Mass
this is a
murders.
person who kills people. You
Yeah.
know? So maybe interesting.
So one of those four.
Yeah, it
you'd
seems
wanna
like
cut.
Cecil and the camera story, Starling Development, are
they're
going to
good.
stay.
They're safe. I think
Those are safe.
Lock it in.
So I guess it depends on what we want to have, like 2 ghost stories or 2 like murders.
I'd want to lean more towards two ghosts.
As much as it kills me
stories.
now, I'm kind of leaning towards, because I know Mad Scatter is such a great name.
Yeah, I know.
Whoever pitched that one, but I'm starting to lean towards booting that one.
Yeah,
sadly.
I can let it go. I just like it because it's kind of happy at the
No,
end,
it
which
is.
is nice for a scary story almost.
Well, that's the thing, is like, the more I think about this guy, is he's a lunatic, right? He's a
Yeah.
lunatic because he leaves these messages, but he's smart enough to stay away from whatever the kind of law enforcement there was. He's still killing people, and he's a man of his word.
It's
Yeah,
true.
He's
he
like, I'm
does
not going to
leave.
kill it. He's like,
He does leave.
He's
Yeah.
like, he's like, okay.
He's like, fuck it.
He's like, I get it. Point taken.
I'll
Jazz
just-
music's great. And you know what the best part is? The best part is, once again, I'm thinking about this movie. I'd probably claymation, get like kind of Nightmare Before Christmas type thing. I think lots of music in it because it's so musical. And then at the end, you reveal that he's playing in one of the bands in someone's home. There you go.
There you
That
go.
is-
And
he's
he
there.
he was a jazz person. He's got to
Wow.
be, right?
Wow.
It's got to be. It's such a specific request.
And who'd you cast for that?
Johnny Depp.
No, Johnny Depp would be the little boy who is trying to convince everyone that he's real, that the Mad Scatter is real. I'd probably get Christoph Waltz to play the Mad Scatter.
Ooh.
Wow, that's not bad. That's
Right?
not bad.
Guys, I'm pretty good at
Danny
pitching
Houston
movies.
plays the Axeman in American Horror Story.
I'm comfortable with it. Taylor, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd drop it, like, again, because American Horror Story did it, and that show's not very good, so it kind of tainted it for me.
They did Mad Scatter?
Yeah, the Axeman. Danny Houston plays him.
Wow.
Shit, how did
this slip by us?
It was in the season Coven, which was horrible, so maybe that's
Yeah,
why.
I
Is
heard
that
every
the-
season after the first one was bad.
Is that the Lady Gaga? No, that's the hotel.
Coven
one.
is the witch one.
Oh yeah, got it.
And was the jazz good in that show?
Good enough to get him to stop murdering people, so...
There you go.
Oh, wow, they really did do that. Okay, that's amazing. All right,
That's
okay.
amazing. All right.
Well, it's American Horror Story, so
Oh.
there you
Yeah.
go.
All right.
That's
So
American
we
Horror
have the water at the Cecil Hotel. We have Hinterkaifeck farm murders, a Starling Development, Tongue's Gotta Pee, Sundress, and Dark Eyes. I'm going to go ahead and put Tongue's Gotta Pee at 5.
I would say Tongue's got to pee at 4.
What do you have at 5?
I think Sundress Dark Eyes is 5.
Interesting. Interesting.
It's a really short one. It's a good one. It's a really short story, kind of like a 2-line, like, you know, it's, you know what I mean. It feels like a really good like anecdote. I don't know why. I like the.
Tongues feels like a bit of an anecdote too. I mean, because it is.
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
It's also not as spooky.
No, that's true.
It's more eerie.
It's
Yeah.
eerie. I just
Okay,
it's hard
yeah,
to
put it at 5.
It's
I'm fine
hard
with
to
that.
describe the feeling, but it
I
was
like
very
that
creepy.
personal element, though. Like,
Yeah.
just-
Well, I identified with it so much because I've slept over at other like families' houses and trips and stuff like that. I've played X-Men on Sega, obviously, and I've had to get up and pee in the middle of the night. I just didn't see any glowing balls of light.
Yeah,
Thank
you relate
goodness.
to it a lot. You relate to this.
Something. The balls I saw weren't glowing. I don't- Okay, then I put Sundress Dark Eyes at 4.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Hinter Kaifik at 3.
To have our one mass murder in the middle.
I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
I think it's got some good elements.
Taylor?
I really like that story.
Yeah. And then what about Startling Development 2?
Yeah, I think we have
Cecil
our-
Hotel 1.
Yeah.
Wait a sec. We just like
I think
we're just
we that was quick. That was
guys.
good.
That was real quick.
We did it. We did it.
Oh man.
Interesting. Should we review that just to be sure?
Let's make sure we have this down. So at 5, Tongue's Gotta Pee. Number 4, Sundress and Dark Eyes. Number 3, Hinter Kaifik Farm Murders. A Startling Development at number 2. And number 1, The Water at the Cecil Hotel. Ooh. And I think that one's the
Asterix, you need to watch the video.
Yeah,
it's
it's so creepy, you guys.
Yeah,
It's so creepy.
That definitely what makes the spookiness happen.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that one helps a lot because it's very much like it's such a
It's like, hey, here's almost proof. Well, it's proof of something happening.
yeah.
We just don't have more information on it.
And that's what makes it extra creepy, right?
Yeah.
It's what
Yeah.
you don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that was scary. Let's go into our honorable mentions.
Yeah.
So with these, we're just gonna quickly list off some titles and maybe a little bit on these stories, but definitely don't need to go too into them.
Yep.
So I'll just list mine off in no particular order. We have Killing of Tim McLean, which was actually the Greyhound story that happened.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In Winnipeg.
Oh my
right?
God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the aftermath of that was really interesting because he's out and with no charges at all and changed his
Really?
name. Yeah, he's out. And,
Jesus, I gotta look that up.
And it was because of he wasn't treated for his schizophrenia, and now he is. So there's a big like divide of like, hey, he cannibalized this person.
He tried to eat. He ate
him. He ate him. He ate his heart, his like tongue, his like. His
Jesus
eyes were the guy's eyes
Christ.
were in the guy's pockets. It was all this stuff. It was,
Oh my god.
I should have been all over this story.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So that one was
Oh.
scary. Another eating one was something called Face Eater, which some guy on YouTube posted that he was having weird thoughts, and he was like this star athlete of his school, and then one day he went to like some random couple's house and started eating them.
Whoa.
Yeah, so creepy. I also wrote there's this doll whose eyes followed. It was like a creepy doll story where like someone like passed on this doll that they didn't really like when they were growing up because she had bad vibes from this doll because her eyes kept following this person. It wasn't one of those dolls that did that either. And then she's like, oh, must be imagining it.
One of those dolls that does that.
Yeah. And then
There are no dolls that do that.
I'm sure there's dolls that do that
Don't
now.
get rid of your dolls
Done. I'm
now.
pretty sure every doll does. It's just like, oh.
And then when she gave the doll to her kid, she saw that doll talking to that kid apparently.
Whoa.
So then they buried that doll.
Fuck yeah, you do. You cut that thing's head off and bury it in the
You
backyard.
burn that thing.
Yeah.
Burn that
Yeah.
fucking thing. And the last thing I wrote was America Right Now.
Scariest one of them all.
Taylor, what do you got?
I'm just gonna go with one quick one. Another one from good old PEI. My dad's coworker. Him and his wife. They recently had a baby. This is a while ago, but like they had just had a baby, and she was going to check on the baby in the nursery, and she opened the door, and standing above the crib was an old lady, and the old lady looked at her, put her finger up to her mouth, shushed her, and said, "Shh, the baby's sleeping." She turned the light on and there was nobody there.
Whoa.
And then they had somebody come in and exorcise the house.
Whoa.
Oh.
Yeah, your hair's
I
up.
got
Hair's up.
goosebump arms.
Fuck, I'm not gonna sleep
It was
tonight.
Oh.
the baby sleeping.
I just
my
need to
God.
note, I made you get goosebumps with 3 of my 4 stories. I
Yeah.
feel
Oh
like
hell yeah. Yeah.
Taylor's a frightening guy. It's his
Oh, I'm
voice.
just a huge wuss.
there's a lot of thoughts in here.
Yeah, I think I mentioned before that when I was looking up Canadian stories, I discovered that all the Fairmont hotels, so all the Banff Springs, Chateau Laurier, Royal York, they all have their token ghost story. Like the Banff Springs one, apparently a bride on her wedding day fell down the marble stairs and died. And then I don't know when this happened, but apparently ever since they see a bride wandering around, that sort of thing. And Banff Springs is kind of huge and cavernous, so it is kind of scary. The other one I wanted to put when I was looking up Canadian stories, I was going to put the Black Donnellys, because that's another kind of mass vigilante lynching kind of situation. Yeah, and they still...
Are they not Irish?
They were Irish, yes. It was essentially, they were like an Irish family in, somewhere close to like London, Ontario, I want to say, who they like had a feud with another kind of Irish group because they were doing really well, and like the other Irish group, their like horses were dying and stuff like that. So essentially this big mob came and like killed the whole family and like burnt down the house, and like no one was ever charged for it or anything, because the community, half the community was like, damn straight they're dead, and the other half was like, holy crap, who killed them, right?
Yeah.
So it never really got solved.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's been a lot of like plays and stuff like that written about them, because it's a bit of a mystery. And then I have a note here, my scary ass house in Calgary. When I lived in Calgary, the house we lived in was for sure haunted. But again, I was like 10 years old.
Sure, yeah.
Like once I was in the bath, and my parents' dog always would eat the garbage on the ground, right? So we had to put like the garbages up. And once a garbage, when I was in the bath, it fell on the ground, but it didn't just fall on the ground, it literally like flew across the room. Whoa. So I was laying there, and like the garbage can went from one side of the room fully to the other. And I was just like, that's interesting. And that was just like one situation, like random, like the TV would randomly turn on or like turn off, and like weird lights, like, and the basement was super, super creepy. And again, I would refuse to go down there alone and stuff like that.
Basements are scary. They're just...
Wow.
I sworn it was haunted.
Jesus. This was in Calgary?
Yeah.
Wow.
Whoa, Angus.
Awesome. Okay, so I got a couple here. Google the lead masks case. It's these two guys in Brazil. They were like electricians or something like that. Oh, they were technicians. And they just were found dead. They were found dead on this like mountain or this hill or something. It was this hill in Rio de Janeiro, and they had lead masks on them. They basically sunglasses shaped, and they had them on them, and they had bottles of water with them, and they had a notebook, and they also had like the exact same clothes on. They had like a waterproof jacket and then like warm clothes underneath or something like that, and they had this notebook with them that was it was really roughly translated. Like these guys weren't. There's like an argument because these guys weren't like super bright, so some people think they just kind of killed themselves accidentally, but they're not sure how they died. They think it was poison, but they don't know. Basically, there was this instructions in this book: be here at this exact time, take these pills, wait for the signal or the effect. You'll know. Put the masks on, and wait for us. And like people think it was aliens. They're translating a signal they had received or something like that. It was all this weird stuff around it, and it's kind of just one of those ones where they don't know what happened. Another one, I've got a couple here. There's like mysterious boats washing up on Japan just with the whole crew dead. That's happened a couple times. Normally the boats sink, right? These guys just washed up and they were all on the boat, but they were all dead. And then there's one, it was kind of mentioned with the Hinterkaifeck thing. It was this family, and I think the only reason I didn't put it on my main list because I thought it was debunked. They thought there were ghosts in their house because all their furniture was moving around and the light switches stuff was just not quite right, and so they set up cameras in their house. And what they realized was that there were people living in their house, like in the walls and in the cupboards and stuff like that.
Oh, that's
I've seen
creepy.
that the girl who like was living in the attic
so
or the crawl space.
I don't know if it's fake. If it is, it's really, really cool. But that was super creepy.
That's it. That's fucked.
Yeah, and then I think the last thing was, this was kind of like my personal thing. This is not like I didn't have enough of it to like put into a real story, but like multiple times in my life, I've like walked outside and there's like fog everywhere, and it's just so quiet that you're like, holy shit, I'm like the only person on the planet, and it's kind of like a deja vu type feeling.
Were you high?
No, maybe. One of them happened on the playground when I was a kid, and I could swear I couldn't see any of the other kids, and I couldn't hear any of them. It was a playground in the middle of the day. Yeah,
Angus,
so creepy shit like that. What's
dimensions,
that?
Bro.
Oh, I went to the upside down.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh man.
I'm glad we all know what that is.
Yes. All right, so that's the end of our episode. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us. This was fun.
Thank technology.
Yeah, I'm glad
And-
you're able to Skype in. I hope you join us again.
Alexander Graham Bell.
The inventor of Skype, I believe.
Yeah.
Do you have any plugs? What's going on in your life that you want to just tell
I don't
everyone?
know. Read a book.
Okay. What
Nice.
book? What book are you recommend right now?
Oh, I'm reading Dark Matter, but read anything by John Swartzwelder. He's hilarious.
Sounds good.
All right, shall do. Catherine, what do you
Hey.
got?
I work for the Great Canadian Theatre Company, so you should come see a show. When this is out, by then it will be Ordinary Days, I believe, which is
I
a
think it will.
musical. Yeah.
If that's a musical? Shit,
yeah.
I should know that.
You work there
I
too,
also
Tuong.
worked at
Come on.
Buck.
Yeah, so it should be a really great show. Come see it.
Come on out and have a soda.
Soda.
Have a soda.
Soda.
So Angus here, everybody. My plug would be check out on Facebook. I'm in a D&D improv team called Quest Friends Forever. We're back from kind of our summer break, and we've been doing shows, and we do a show every month at the Improv Embassy. So check out theimprov.embassy.com.
Cool. And actually, Angus and I guess when this is out, there will be a show in Toronto.
Yeah, we're doing a show in Toronto.
We're doing performing in Toronto at the Big City Improv Festival on Friday. I don't know where, but look it up. Look it up yourself. The internet's
Maybe
out there.
Bad Dog? I don't know.
I don't know. I am not sure.
I just got asked to be in another show at Bad Dog, so no big deal.
Oh,
Okay.
I've been there. It's pretty great.
It's
yeah.
Oh yeah, we're famous. Yeah, you can check out Podcavern at podcavern. What is that noise?
Do you guys hear that?
You hear that?
Stop it, guys.
Oh my god, the lights went out.
Guys, my battery's dead.
Oh no.
I'm a scat man.
Oh my god, guys, I hear scatting coming from downstairs.
Screw it up my phone.
I don't hear any jazz.
Oh no.